Luxury partner in brief of ongoing progress work on the shutdown of Lagos Infra.
Bring all the traffic into this direction.
We are going to work to ensure that better during the day after the traffic. If we don't do what we need to do now, the road will.
Good day and welcome to another interesting episode of your program, Infrastructure Weekly. I am your guide, Abosede Omowi. On today's program, we will be taking a look at the closure of the third mainland bridge and the conclusion of tests to ascertain its present state before rehabilitation work set in later. We will also take you to Adamawa State, where the federal government has flagged off the construction of the 112 kilometers Mayo Belwajada Ganye Tunge Road project. We will equally take you around projects in the power sector and visit more sites of the National Housing Program. Join us after this break for details of these and many more.
Coming together of opportunities, and this is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
there is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and Core TV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
We begin now from the third mainland bridge, which is the longest bridge in Nigeria and second longest on the African continent. The bridge, which reopened on Sunday, August the 26th, was closed for maintenance investigative tests for almost 72 hours. We have details of the closure, the tests and consequent reopening in this package. Let's take a listen.
It started a few months earlier with an announcement by the federal government to the Federal Executive Council of the award of the contract for the rehabilitation of the nation's longest bridge, the third mainland bridge.
The last project that was approved was for the repair and rehabilitation of the third mainland bridge as part of our national ongoing bridge repair and maintenance. Many of our bridges had just been left really without maintenance. This contract is for 18.874 billion. Again, it was conceived in 2011, but it wasn't awarded because there were no budgetary provisions to support it. We have created a budgetary provision for it as part of, as I said, a national bridge maintenance strategy, because we're seeing our bridges haven't been maintained for decades. So this was for 18.874 billion to Borini Prono, one of the consortium of companies who first built the bridge. And essentially what they'll be doing is pile repair works, pile repairs. Piles are the foundations that hold the bridge. Those are the things that are drilled into the ground to form the foundation of the bridge. They need to go down, dive inside, check the steel and iron casings, and also the concrete casings, to see what needs repairs, what needs cleaning, what needs replacement. We're starting with the first 33 piles that are in very critical condition, then another set of 19 piles, and then 44 piles, and a general maintenance of 177 piles that form the entire foundation of the bridge. Those are the largely civil engineering and related work.
This was followed closely by the announcement of a date in July for the 3-day closure of the bridge for tests on its present status before the rehabilitation works could begin. The rumor mill then went into an overdrive, with many going as far as saying that the bridge would be closed for 27 months. The postponement later followed, and the weekend of August 23rd to 26th was chosen to coincide with Eid al-Kabir holidays. That's according to a statement from the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, was to reduce the disruption to the barest minimum. On the day itself, the combined team led by the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing and the Lagos State Government Security and Traffic Management Agencies shut down the bridge. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, later visited for an on-the-spot assessment but did not speak to the press. On the part of the contractors, a promise was made to do a good job.
What we are doing now, we are carrying out some tests in order to acquire data that will enable us to determine which of the joints, expansion joint of this bridge, has reached the end of its useful life, which has to be retained.
He promised that the tests will be done within the required time frame.
We will have to order the material that has to be manufactured. It will be manufactured in Italy. The material will then be shipped here. After all the material is received, we will be able to start with the either demolition of the joint to remove the machine which now constitute the joint.
The tests were later started on the morning of the 24th of August with experts from the contractor and the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing. After it all, the Controller for Works, Lagos, Adedamola Kuti, said the work had been successfully concluded and the bridge was opened 7 hours before schedule.
Well, first and foremost, we want to say that for the 3 days operations that started on Friday, 24th of August, we started the investigative test, and we have successfully completed the test on all the expansion joints on the bridge, on the third mainland bridge.
Yes.
No. Normally, like we've mentioned to you, once the repair work starts, the repair works is going to involve the replacement of some of the faulty expansion joints, and we're also going to do some repairs on the piles and the pile caps and the rest of them.
This, according to the Director, Highways and Bridges in the ministry, was as a result of timeliness on the part of those who carried out the test. He added that results will be out in a few weeks' time.
Well, what I would say is when the result is analyzed, we now come out with what we are going to do, what repairs we are going to carry out, and we now go forth to do it. But when we start the repair works, it won't be total closure.
Moving on from there, but still on the road sector, the federal government has reiterated its determination to ensure the maintenance of the nation's infrastructure and ensure rehabilitation whenever necessary. The Minister of State, too, for Power, Works and Housing, Suleiman Zarama, made this disclosure while speaking at the flag-off of the 112-kilometer Mayo Bilwa Jada Ganye Tunge Road project in Adamawa State.
Residents of Mayo, Belwa, Jada, Ganye and Tongo federal constituencies are gathered here to witness the historic flag-off of the 112-kilometer road linking the Ganye chiefdom with other parts of the state. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, represented by the Minister of State for Works, assures the people of the Buhari administration's resolve to deliver on its campaign promises.
A very bad alignment at kilometer 184. Ongoing federal highway road projects in the northeast geopolitical zone of this country, out of which 7 are currently ongoing in Adamawa State. We want to concentrate on the 7 that are going on presently in Adamawa State.
The member representing a constituency at the House of Representatives says they will ensure that President Muhammadu Buhari gets maximum votes from the constituency in the 2019 general elections.
In spite of the fact that some of us has contributed, the only person that can be said to have brought this road to Adamawa State is President Muhammadu Buhari.
The traditional ruler of the Ganye chiefdom expresses the appreciation of the people of his chiefdom for the project, which he says has been neglected by previous administrations.
Surprised, however, with both the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, and the Minister of State for Works, to see that the road is being completed. We are heard and saw over the electronic and print media that the Federal Executive Council awarded our road contract worth 22.6 billion. We are therefore grateful to all stakeholders who contributed to the success story we are witnessing today.
Some members of the administration expressed hope that the construction of the road will boost the economy of the area, known as the food basket of the state.
This is the happiest moment in the life history of this particular chiefdom. In fact, contracting this road this year, 2018.
The over 22 billion naira project awarded to the Tractor Nigeria Limited is expected to be completed within 32 months, as the people are hopeful that the construction will provide jobs for the teeming unemployed youth in the area. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Adamawa State Governor assured the people that the road will be completed within the stipulated time.
With the construction of this road now, the flagging off and the contract awarded for the construction of this road is going to alleviate the sufferings of our people there.
If you are just joining us, the program is still Infrastructure Weekly, where we give you the lowdown on the agenda of the Muhammadu Buhari administration to develop the nation's infrastructure towards sustainable national development. You can get in touch with us on Facebook at facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter at Infra_Weekly. Join us after this break as we visit the National Housing Program site in Kwara. Stay tuned.
London, New York or Lagos, business or holiday, home or office, you can now carry out your tax transactions from anywhere in the world. You can now file all your tax returns, pay online, get a receipt and even process your tax clearance certificate from anywhere in the world online and in real time. All you need to do is log on to www.firs.gov.ng and click on e-services and be introduced to the world of innovation, convenience and transparency from the FIRS. You can also pay stamp duty as you register a new company with the CAC or for other transactions that require stamp duty payment online. You can also file your withholding tax returns and determine the withholding tax deducted from you is in government coffers so that you can get your receipt within 45 days as long as the deduction has been remitted. Yes, all of this and more online at www.firs.gov.ng/e-services. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC. Please note that all FIRS services are free of charge. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. It pays to pay your tax.
Thanks so much for staying tuned. You can reach us on any of the social media handles showing on your screen for inquiries, feedback and comments. Now to the housing sector and specifically the National Housing Program site in Kwara State. The National Housing Program in Kwara, just like those in the 33 other states all over the Federation, were all started under the 2016 National Housing Project. Let's take a listen to the status update from Ilorin on the work done so far.
As part of federal government's efforts to provide affordable housing to all Nigerians, the National Housing Program was launched in 2016 as a first step towards affordable housing. 33 states of the Federation took part in the initial phase of the program, with Kwara State also part of the first group. The federal controller in charge of housing in Kwara, Ibikunle Ashonibare, who took Infrastructure Weekly around the site along Asadam Road in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, described the scheme as a game changer. He described the scheme as an appropriate step in solving the housing deficit facing the country.
When this present administration came in, they took note of the fact that there is a huge housing deficit in Nigeria. Between provision and something, there is a huge gap. There is a lacuna somewhere, and the administration of President Buhari, Muhammadu Buhari, is desirous of filling this gap, and that's why it embarked on the National Housing Program. This is just a kind of starting point.
He explained further that contractors on site have done a good job so far. The project, according to him, is already at 70% and all will be delivered soon.
The federal government has embarked on the construction of 76 units of housing of mixed development in Kwara State. Different units. We have 1 bedroom, we have 2 bedroom and 3 bedroom units. We have 4 units of 1 bedroom. these have been completed since, and 48 units of 2-bedroom. Out of these 48 units of 2-bedroom, they are semi-detached. 4 units have been completed, painted, and ready for handing over. Then for the 3-bedroom semi-detached bungalows, we have 24 units, out of which 8 units have been completed totally.
He added that the first phase of the housing scheme of 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom flats will be commissioned, and modality to share to beneficiaries will be rolled out by the end of the year.
It's still the program Infrastructure Weekly. You can get in touch with us on Facebook at facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter at Infra_Weekly. Still on the housing sector, we'll also present to you the status update on the program in Ondo State. Let's take a listen to how the program has fared since the takeoff of construction at the site.
With the National Housing Program now in full swing, the crew of Infrastructure Weekly in this visit to the Akure Ondo State site of the project was informed by workers on site that it's been a new beginning for them. They are assured that they are able to put food on the table. They said construction at the site will help in addressing the issue of affordable houses for all classes of Nigerians, especially residents of the state.
You can be sure that majorly the major issue of a housing challenge, that any one of them, because it's open for everybody to be a partaker. You can buy into the project, you can subscribe, as long as you meet the required standard for procurement. So number one, the issue of housing deficit for whoever might be having such challenge, will have received a solution. And more importantly, from the start of this project, virtually the indigenes, they are the first beneficiary. The neighborhood here we call Eleyewo village, they are the ones that are participating as far as labor work is concerned. Call it mason, call it artisan, call it food vendors. They are the ones that are the number one beneficiary. So in all, the advantage is enormous to the community and to the state at large.
They also commended the federal government for prompt payment of casual workers' salaries.
Since we have been working here, both the operator and the carpenters and the bricklayer and the iron bidder, they are not owing anybody. They have been paying us fine. In short, we are satisfied.
Some of the residents around the site want the federal government to invest more in such schemes around the country.
It will be a big good thing for Ondo State. It will develop this area. As far as this area now, it will develop this area more than the another area. Because now what I see in this area, if you see the area now, is even civilized another area now. This area now, as you see now, everybody like it. If some people even come from Akure to here to come and look the building. They are building here because there are some school, so many something around here, and then this airport is near us here. That's why this area will be developed now. Even if we know it will develop more than Akure.
The team leader in charge of the site, Bayo Ribamishe, said every facility, including electricity, good road network and healthcare facilities will be put in place to make the estate enjoyable for occupants.
As far as this site is concerned, it is the National Housing Program for Ondo State, in which government is providing 70 housing units. However, we know that without the infrastructure aspect of it, the houses will not be made functional. It will be functional. For it to be functional and to make it accessible for the occupants, that is why the ministry has the wisdom of providing both the road networks as well as electrification and water reticulation for the use of the estate.
Meanwhile, the housing scheme will soon be commissioned with some of the houses now ready for occupation.
So much for the housing sector. We'll be back after this timeout as we reach the home stretch. Stay tuned.
Coming together of opportunities, and this is what
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and QTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
The federal government has again continued its drive to expand the nation's power transmission grid with the commissioning of a 133-32 kVA transmission substation in Akure, the Ondo State capital. The state governor, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, expresses delight at the boost economic activities will receive from the newly commissioned substation. Let's take a listen.
In order to strengthen and reinforce the national grid for effective power wheeling and improved service delivery, the Transmission Company of Nigeria (PLC) earmarked some key transmission lines and substation projects. Akure substation is not exempted, as the existing 132 by 33 kV substation with initial capacity of 120 MVA of 96 megawatts became inadequate to meet the required load demand of the growing population and industrialization of the area, informed the decision to boost the existing power capacity to 180 MVA, that is 144 megawatts. The Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of TCN, Usman Mohammed, gave reasons for this improvement in the supply and distribution of power to the mandate area.
We have added 60 MVA to the existing 120 MVA at this substation. So it means that the capacity has raised to that level. So what we expected now is that the Benin Electricity Distribution Company should come and radiate their feeders. It is from their feeders that now they will feed their customers. This substation has now increased the flexibility and the total quantum of energy that we are delivering in Akure and environment. So we expect that once they radiate their feeder, the supply of electricity to Benin to Akure will significantly improve. Akure and environment, and including those areas that I mentioned here, this is 132 kV substation to supply Akure and environments. So it will help all those people that are taking supply from this substation.
Governor of Ondo State, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, who commissioned the project, commended the efforts of the federal government on the feat. Akeredolu advised the Benin Electricity Distribution Company to supply all consumers with prepaid meter to guarantee customers service for their money.
And I want to thank the federal government for its efforts. And when we get there, we will explain better what we needed, what we know the federal government is doing, and what the state government is doing. Our people, no doubt, have had running battles. The new 2 by 150 MVA, by 330, by 132, by 33 kV transmission substation near Owode and Akure, and injection substations such as the 2 by 60 MVA in Okiagbe, 2 by 60 MVA in Nifon Ose, and 132 kV transmission line from Montreal to Kitupa, which is supposed to be serviced through construction of 2 by 30 MVA substation in Okitupa. While work are progressing on some of these critical transmission projects, we desire that more funds, we are calling on the government, be injected to speed up activities.
General Manager of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Adewumi Victor, says by commissioning the transformers, people of the mandate area should expect regular power supply and improved services. He sought the cooperation of the people in regular payment for services rendered.
PDC is the one supplying them, but there are so many other companies that are working behind. We don't see every day, like the generation companies, the transmission companies, they are all working. They are the one, making sure that this supply is transported for TCN, where I belong. We are the one. It's like we are like transporter from the power stations to the distribution stations. But the people you see every day from here is the BEDC. So as BEDC is supplying you, make sure that you call it pay, because it's not free. You need to pay all those people that I've mentioned, the generating companies, the transmission companies, and every other people that are involved in the power sector. You need to pay them, but you are paying only BEDC. So for every electric power supply that you are consuming, make sure you pay. That is the only way that sustenance of continuous power supply to you can be maintained.
The completed project will strengthen the grid stability in meeting up with suppressed load demand and boost power supply at Akure Town, Iwaroke, Obaile, Iju.
That's all in today's episode of the program Infrastructure Weekly. Adopt all public utilities as yours and continue to pay your tax to support the general development of Nigeria. Let's continue the conversation on the social media handles showing on your screen. Thanks so much for staying tuned. I am Abosede Omowi. Bye for now.